Welcome back to this video that takes a look at some of the more advanced rules and tactics in Sythopian Wars. Before I get going, I just want to go over a few changes that have been implemented since our last video. Firstly, you will notice our updated sculpts for the convict drones, death squad, horde and butchers. We think these new models are more in line with the aesthetic and concept art, and we hope you like them as much as we do. Next, you will notice a few changes to the command table here, specifically restrictions. Move and snapfire no longer have any restrictions, so you can perform these as many times as you want during a turn. Stunning an enemy has also changed slightly. Stunned models are no longer placed on their side, protecting your amazing painting and preventing players from squeezing any additional movement from models when they stand back up. You know who you are. Instead, the sustained damage is first placed next to the stunned model, and after the resolve test, it is moved on to the unit, next to the command dice if possible. Pass or fail. Failure results in the same outcome of the model remaining stunned and unable to act, but now the model returns to normal automatically at the end of the unit's activation. Lastly, a few of the units have had their stats altered. These are minor changes and you can find them all on the unit's operational data. With that out of the way, let's get going with combining and splitting units. Sythopian Wars allows you to field units to take the fight to your opponent. Unit sizes are dictated by their operational data, as seen here. At the start of the game, or during, depending on your game scenario, units are deployed as groups and placed within 2 inches of each other. If the controlling player wants to split a unit, they issue a command to it that involves a movement. This command can be applied to a number of models, rather than the unit as a whole. By assigning the advance command to this unit of tin men, 3 of them have been split by moving them more than 2 inches away from the others. Afterwards, the 3 tin men use their shoot to attack a nearby enemy. Only the tin men given the command are able to act, and any restrictions are only applied to this smaller group. If you choose to split a unit that already has restrictions, you must follow the same rules as with the whole unit and duplicate any restrictions, applying additional afterwards if needed. Sustained damage can also be split, but no group can be given more than the combined HP of its models. You can split units as many times as you want during a turn. This can be used to capture multiple points with a single unit, take advantage of a large command point pool, or save models to carry out certain tasks. Be aware that you do not gain any additional command points for splitting units, and it can also leave you at a tactical disadvantage if you are not careful. Units can also be combined into larger groups. To do this, simply move models with the same name within 2 inch, like the 2 units of Horde. When units merge, any restrictions they have merge as well, along with any sustained damage. If the command used to merge units has any other action, such as shoot, only the models it was issued to can carry it out. Units must have been merged before a command was issued for all models to make use of it. Once within 2 inches, the Horde form one large group and can be assigned a single command. This tactic can help preserve commands, help to move more models at once and pour more shots and attacks into targets. Remember that you can still only target one enemy unit at a time, and it will be harder to keep larger groups in cover. This unit of Horde has been attacked by the Arsenal's long-range artillery, and it has managed to slay all Horde it has targeted, blasting a trench down the centre of the unit, effectively splitting it in 2. The Horde player now has to decide whether to use a command to bring the units back together, slowing the whole group down, or be forced to treat them as 2 groups, depleting command points. Using cover properly protects your models from high force weapons, but sometimes it's not possible to get all your models to safety. Here, 6 Horde are behind the wall and within 2 inches of it, so gain the cover bonus of 2 to their resolve, bringing it to a 5 against the Hellbore cannon, which with a force value of 2 would bring that back down to a 3. However, 4 of the models have been unable to make it that far, and are considered to be out in the open or on open ground. The Tin Men have 2 options here. They can fire all of their shots into the unit as a whole, in which case all models are treated as being in cover, or they can target the models outside of cover. If they do this, however, they cannot cause damage to the horde safely behind the wall. In this case, they choose to focus on the 4 vulnerable horde. This is bad news for the horde, as without the resolve boost from the cover, the force of 2 from the Hellbore cannon brings their resolve down to a 1, causing grievous damage for every success. Instead of causing 1 point of damage, any roll of 2 or above now causes the force value in damage, wiping out the 4 that are not in cover. Now let's take a moment to look at weapon types and special rules. You can see from the recon drone's operational data that its weapon, the Hellbore assault rifle, has more than just a few stats. Building on what we know from shooting, we can see some information we have yet to cover. The weapon type, for example, is listed as light. Heavy type weapons cannot normally be used while models are moving, so if you are advancing or assaulting, you must leave these weapons out of any shooting following the movement. The info we want to address in this example is the ROF. Like before, the ROF or rate of fire indicates the number of shots, but we can also see it has assault. Assault weapons are one of the only ranged weapons that can still be used if you are within 1 inch of an enemy model. The recon drones are able to use this and countercharge the attacking horde here. The hordes smash into the recon drones, ready to attack with their melee weapons. However, the recon drones have used an advanced command to countercharge and open fire with their weapons before the melee takes place. 12 shots flying to the horde, killing all in melee range. The remaining horde outside 1 inch can no longer attack, having been pushed back. Other rules attached to the ROF of weapons can also alter how they work. Rapid weapons reroll failures, making them a more desirable choice when snap shooting. Auto weapons automatically target lock and are classed as 1s, so you can stun or slay enemy units that choose to return fire before they get their shots off. And barrage weapons fire at full rate of fire and take no penalty to target lock when snap firing, unless the unit has a restriction, making them ideal for suppression and intimidation, watching for units to break cover. There are lots of others, and you can find out more in the rulebook, each suited for different uses and specialities. Melee weapons also have their own stats, such as fast on the horde's twisted metal, allowing the re-roll of failures. Crushing always succeeds on the roll of a 4, which is great against enemies with high resolve, but not as good against weaker units. And hammer changes the roll required from resolve to the HP of your target, making it devastating to large groups of weaker models. Some weapons, such as the Heavy Spider's Eradicator cannons, also have special rules as an extension. In this case, as the shots from the Eradicator land on the Tin Man, each target lock becomes 2 dice when resolving damage, with the Borer rule granting damage dice equal to the target's HP. The more HP the target has, the more potential damage, as the shots drill inwards through the enemy. Operational data lists all weapon stats, and the tooltips should help when resolving weapons. If not, just head to the special rules section of the rulebook for an in-depth description. Now let's take a moment to mention grenades and explosive weapons. Explosive weapons use a template to indicate the enemy model's target locked and resolve a simple scatter roll. The arsenal fires its mortars at the horde. With explosive weapons, only the result of a 1 is considered a successful target lock, and the template is placed wherever the player wants over the unit. All models partially under it are target locked. 3 target locks fail with different results, and the centre of the template is placed over the centre of the closest horde model to the firer and move directly back 1 inch for every point over. 2 of the other shots still manage to clip the horde, and the last shot lands in between the models. With all target locks assigned, 7 damage rolls are generated. Only models target locked by using the template can be assigned the damage caused, and if all models under the template are slain, no more models can be assigned damage. Grenades often have the explosive rule and work in the same way. However, grenades are used alongside your other ranged weapons and are resolved at the same time as your shots, not instead of. Beware that explosive weapons can target lock friendly models, even those that have used them, so try and keep a safe distance when raining hell down on your enemy. Now let's have a look at some of the advanced commands. This unit of Death Squad have broke cover and have targeted the recon drones who are down to a single model. In response, the controlling player issues the Covering Fire command. Covering Fire allows the nearby tin men to activate and react, instead of the recon drones. What's more, Covering Fire grants the unit the initiative. The tin men gain the auto rule from the recon drones, and 5 shots automatically target lock as ones, and with the resulting piercing damage added, 3 Death Squad are killed and 1 stunned before they can even raise their weapons. Afterwards, the remaining Death Squad fires its shots, but they are not enough to kill the remaining recon drone. Covering Fire is expensive, issuing all restrictions to the unit, but it can be used to brutal effect. Intervene plays a similar role as Covering Fire, but instead of shooting a would-be attacker, this command allows you to throw a unit in between one of your units and a charging enemy. The Horde here are charging this vulnerable unit of recon drones. With their restrictions and the Horde's movement value of 16, the recon drones cannot get away. Instead, the controlling player issues the Intervene command to the convict drones, who are unable to provide Covering Fire due to line of sight. Intervene allows the unit to countercharge the Horde, pushing between the units and preventing them from reaching the recon drones. Although the convict drones will pay for this in the coming melee, the returning fire from any mechanised unit bolstered by the recon drones will likely cripple the Horde. Rally allows units that are heavily depleted or split for tactical reasons to call in reinforcements. If all models in a unit are able to get to your table edge, you can attempt a rally. Roll 1 dice per model missing from the unit's number, as seen on its operational data, and for every success you may return a slain model back to the table, placed 2 inches from the rest. You can split units and keep models back solely for this purpose, but a single model is easy prey to long-ranged units like artillery and snipers. Finally, we will talk about Spoils of War. Spoils of War is associated to the last command point of a turn, always held by the player that goes second. Because of the nature of alternating activation, and because both players have the same number of command points during a turn, if the player that makes the first activation does not force their opponent to use their last command as a reaction, they will be able to issue a command to a unit that cannot be reacted to. Essentially, this grants them the ability to carry out any action with impunity, whether it is shooting at a unit or charging. After spoils is resolved, both players gather their command points, and the player that resolved their spoils now goes first. Because spoils always works like this, both players need to prepare for the end of the turn. For those that activate first, make sure your units are safe, held up in cover, and push that reaction. The player with spoils, that's up to you. Save it for your most dangerous unit, get onto an objective, or just prepare for the next round. The choice is yours. And with that we will end this video. Hopefully we can release more in the future, looking at units and how they can be used in different ways, and also look into upcoming game systems. Until then.